I was looking for a cheap laptop for work. My budget was tight, so I turned to an online marketplace, hoping to find a decent second-hand deal. After scrolling for hours, I came across a listing that seemed too good to be true. A nearly new, high-end laptop at a ridiculously low price. The seller's name was just MD, and their profile had no picture, no reviews, nothing. Normally, I wouldn't trust such an account, but desperation makes you take risks. I messaged them, asking if the laptop was still available. Within seconds, I got a reply. Yes, meet tonight. Cash only, no questions. The response was direct, almost robotic. I hesitated, but asked where to meet. They sent an address, an old storage facility on the outskirts of town. Every instinct told me to ignore it, but my need outweighed my caution. That night, I drove out to the address. The place was almost deserted, with only a few flickering streetlights casting long shadows. The storage units stretched endlessly in both directions. Their metal doors rusted and dented. My car's headlights caught movement in the distance. A tall, thin figure stood near one of the units, face hidden under a hoodie. I parked and stepped out, keeping my keys tight in my grip. UMD? I called out, the figure nodded, and turned to unlock one of the storage units. The door groaned as it rolled up, revealing a dimly lit space stacked with electronics. Laptops, phones, cameras, some in boxes, some loose. My gut twisted. This wasn't just someone selling their old laptop. This was a full-blown operation. The seller pulled out the laptop and held it up. Cash first, they said, their voice low and flat. I hesitated. Can I check if it works? Silence. I reached for the laptop, but they pulled it back slightly. No need. It works. Something was seriously off. I took a step back. I think I'll pass. The seller didn't react. Instead, they turned their head slightly, as if listening to something. Then, from deep inside the storage unit, I heard breathing. Not normal breathing, something slow, ragged, like someone struggling for air. I took another step back. Who else is in there? The seller didn't answer. They simply tilted their head toward the darkness inside the unit. My skin crawled as I squinted into the shadows. For a moment, I thought I saw movement, something shifting, hunched over. Then suddenly, two pale hands reached out from the darkness, gripping the edge of a box. I turned and bolted. My heart pounded as I jumped into my car, fumbling for the keys. In my rearview mirror, I saw the seller standing still, watching me, the laptop still in their hand. And behind them, from the depths of the storage unit, something crawled out. I didn't stick around to find out what it was. I hit the gas and sped away, my hands shaking. That night, I deleted my account on the marketplace and vowed never to buy from an unknown seller again. But the next morning, I woke up to a message on my phone. You forgot your laptop. No questions. Come back. I should have learned my lesson after the last time, but when you're desperate, you make mistakes. I was still in need of a laptop, and despite the unsettling experience with MD, I convinced myself it was just a scam gone wrong. So, a week later, I found another listing. This time, it was an older model, but the price was reasonable. The seller had a normal-looking profile, complete with a picture, and a few positive reviews. That was enough to reassure me. We arranged to meet in a public place, a small cafe downtown. The seller was a middle-aged man named Richard, well-dressed and polite. He placed the laptop on the table between us, smiling as he tapped the lid. It's in great condition, barely used. Just don't mess with the previous owner's files, he said with a chuckle. It was an odd comment, but I ignored it. I checked the laptop. It powered on fine. No visible issues. We completed the deal, and I took it home. That night, as I set it up, I noticed a folder on the desktop labeled "Do Not Open." At first, I didn't think much of it. Maybe it was something Richard forgot to delete. But the longer I looked at the folder, the more uncomfortable I felt. There was something off about it. Something almost wrong. Curiosity got the better of me. I clicked. Inside were dozens of video files, all with timestamps instead of names. I hesitated, then opened the most recent one. It was grainy, black and white, like footage from an old security camera. A small empty room, a chair in the middle, nothing else. I skipped ahead in the video. Hours passed with no change. Then, suddenly, at the 2-hour mark, the screen glitched. The image flickered, and when it returned, someone was sitting in the chair. I leaned closer. The figure was slumped forward, unmoving. A woman, long dark hair covering her face. She sat completely still, no breathing, no shifting. Just there. Then her head snapped up. I recoiled. The video glitched again, and now she was looking straight at the camera. Her eyes were completely black. I slammed the laptop shut. My pulse was racing. What the hell was that? But then, a notification sound. Slowly, I lifted the screen. A new file had appeared inside the folder. A video, dated right now. My stomach dropped. I clicked on it, hands shaking. It was me. I was sitting at my desk, watching the laptop screen. Behind me, the door to my room was wide open. I spun around so fast I nearly fell out of my chair. The door was closed. The room was silent. But I swear, for just a moment, I felt breath on the back of my neck. That night I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that woman's face. Her black eyes locked onto mine. I tried to delete the folder, but it wouldn't go away. No matter what I did, it always came back. And then, around 3 a.m., my laptop powered on by itself. The screen glowed in the dark, and a single message appeared in the folder. You opened it. Now she sees you. After what happened with the cursed laptop, I swore off online marketplaces for good. But old habits die hard. A few months later, I needed to sell something. An old camera I barely used. It was expensive when I bought it, and I figured I could get a decent price for it. I listed it, and within an hour, I got a message. Is it still available? The buyer's name was just Jay, with no profile picture and no purchase history. Normally I'd be cautious, but they offered to pay in cash and seemed eager. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop near my apartment. Public place. Safe. Or so I thought. The next evening, I got there early, camera bag in hand. The place was busy, warm light spilling onto the street, the smell of coffee in the air. I sat by the window and waited. 10 minutes passed. Then 20. I checked my phone. No messages. I typed out, "Are you still coming?" But before I could send it, the bell above the cafe door chimed. A man walked in, tall, thin, dressed in dark clothes. His face was pale, almost sickly, with deep-set eyes that flickered around the room. When he saw me, he smiled. Too wide. He walked straight to my table and sat down without a word. "You're Jay?" I asked. He nodded. Something about him made my stomach twist. His clothes looked wrong. Not dirty, not old, just off. Like they didn't quite fit him, like they weren't his. "You brought the camera?" His voice was low, almost a whisper. "Yeah," I said, unzipping the bag and placing it on the table. He reached out, long fingers brushing against the case. A chill ran through me at the touch. "It's in perfect condition," I said. "Barely used." He didn't respond. Just kept staring at the camera, tilting his head like he was listening to something. Then, without warning, he stood up. Didn't say a word, didn't look at me. Just turned and walked out the door. I blinked. "Hey, wait," I called after him. But he didn't stop. I grabbed the camera and rushed outside. He was already halfway down the street, moving fast, too fast. "Hey!" I shouted again, jogging after him. "Do you still want the—" I turned the corner. He was gone. The street was empty, completely silent. No doors had opened, no alleyways nearby. Just gone. I stood there, heart pounding. A cold wind cut through me. And for the first time, I noticed something strange. The street felt wrong. The lights above flickered slightly. The sound of the city seemed distant, muffled, like I was standing in a place that wasn't quite real. I backed away. Whatever was happening, I didn't want to be a part of it. I hurried home, locking the door behind me. My hands were shaking as I set the camera down on the table. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe he just left faster than I thought. But then, my phone buzzed. A message from Jay. "I have the camera, thank you." I froze. I turned to the table. The camera was still there. The bag was unzipped just as I had left it. My chest tightened. Slowly, with trembling fingers, I lifted the camera and turned it on. A new photo was saved in the memory. It was me, sitting alone at the cafe. And behind me, over my shoulder, was Iluigish, Jay, smiling. But his face was wrong. Stretched, distorted, as if the camera had caught something the human eye wasn't meant to see. I should have walked away. I should have deleted my account, thrown my laptop into a river. Anything to stop this nightmare from unfolding. But something kept pulling me back, like an invisible thread tying me to this cursed marketplace. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was something else. One night, I got a notification. New message from MD. My breath hitched. I hadn't heard from him since the first laptop incident. I tapped the message with shaking fingers. "One final offer. You won't regret it." Attached was a listing. No picture, no description, just a title. "The deal of a lifetime." Price: $0, 0 cents. Something in my gut twisted. Every warning bell in my head went off, but against my better judgment, I replied, "What's the deal?" MD responded almost instantly. "Meet me at the old warehouse on 6th Street, midnight. Come alone." Nope, absolutely not. I locked my phone and tossed it on my bed. This was insane. But as the hours passed, my mind kept circling back. What if, by 11:30 p.m., I found myself walking towards 6th Street, the night pressing in around me? The warehouse was abandoned, its windows shattered, rust creeping along its metal walls. The street was empty, too empty. The door was slightly open. I stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and something else, something metallic, like a rusted iron and blood. A single light flickered overhead, illuminating a figure in the center of the room. MD. He was taller than I remembered, his face obscured by the shadows. "You came," he said, his voice deeper than before. "Good." I swallowed. "What's the deal?" He motioned to something behind him. A sort black briefcase. "This is for you," he said. I didn't move. "What's inside?" "A choice." That wasn't an answer. He took a step closer, His shadow stretched unnaturally long, twisting like it had a life of its own. "You take it," he said, "and everything changes." "Changes how?" Another step. The light flickered. "You'll see." I wanted to run. Every muscle in my body screamed at me to get out, but my feet wouldn't move. Slowly, I reached for the briefcase. The second my fingers touched the handle, a sharp pain home shot through me, like ice flooding my veins. The warehouse tafold disappeared. I was somewhere else, dark, silent, a void stretching in all directions. And then I heard it. Whispers. 1,000 voices speaking at once, too fast to understand. Shapes moved in the darkness, flickering in and out of existence. I tried to step back, but there was no ground beneath me, just emptiness. Then something grabbed my wrist, cold, thin, fingers pressing too tight. I turned my head slowly. MD was beside me now, or at least something that looked like him. His face was shifting, distorting, his eyes hollow black pits. "You made the deal," he whispered. I tried to let go of the briefcase, but my hand wouldn't obey. The whispers grew louder, turning into screams. I was coil falling. The void swallowed me whole, and then I woke up, gasping, drenched in sweat, back in my apartment. The clock read 3:33 am. For a moment I thought it was a nightmare, just another horrible dream. But then I saw it. The black briefcase, sitting at the foot of my bed, waiting. I stared at the briefcase, my breath caught in my throat. It hadn't been there before. I hadn't brought it home, yet there it was, silent, unmoving, waiting. My hands trembled as I reached for it. The second my fingers brushed against the cold leather, a shiver ran through my body. It wasn't just cold, it felt alive. I forced myself to open it. Inside was a single item, a photograph. It was a picture of Jaime, but not the me sitting on the bed. It was a version of me that looked hollow, drained, lifeless. My eyes were dark, sunken pits. My skin was gray, and standing behind me, almost invisible in the shadows. Duh. My stomach twisted. My breathing grew ragged. I flipped the photo over. There was something written on the back in smudged red ink. "You have 3 days. 3 days for what?" I wanted to throw the briefcase out, burn the photo, pretend none of this was happening. But something told me that wouldn't work. Whatever had started, I was doing it now. The next day, strange things started happening. First day, my reflection wasn't right. It moved when I didn't. I caught it in the bathroom mirror. I turned away, but my reflection didn't. It just stood there, staring at me with those sunken black eyes. I smashed the mirror, but every time I looked at a screen, a window, any reflective surface, it was still there, watching. Second day, the whispers returned. They came at night, just beyond the edge of hearing. 1,000 voices murmuring in the dark corners of my room. But they weren't just random whispers. They were saying my name, over and over, calling me. I covered my ears, but it didn't help. They weren't coming from outside. They were coming from inside my head. And then, the knocking started. Software. Slow. From the inside of my closet. I didn't open it. Third day I woke up with a splitting headache. My body felt weak, drained, like something had been feeding off me in my sleep. I checked my phone. A new message. From MD, it's time. The moment I read it, my apartment went silent. No hum of the refrigerator. No cars outside. No wind. Just silence. And then footsteps, coming from the hallway. I grabbed the briefcase and backed into the corner of my room, my heart pounding. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I held my breath. The doorknob turned slowly. Click, click, then it swung open. And there it was. The other me, the one from the photo. It smiled. And the lights went out.